Welcome, guys, and it's the first day of April 2025, and we are now back to usual programmings. And we took a lot of break in this channel, but we are now back. And today we have a very interesting topic, and we are going to try and analyze what is happening at Chelsea, because it's getting crazy financially for Chelsea. Because remember, Chelsea are finding themselves in a very difficult position financially when it comes to FFP, and whether Chelsea can even acquire transfer bans from European competitions, as well as transfer bans for even purchasing players. But Chelsea again have managed to pull a rabbit out of the bag. And if you really enjoy content in this channel, if you encourage me to be doing this type of content where we'll be looking at news from Chelsea time to time, just 10-15 minutes videos, and then we'll be doing the match preview, and then we'll be doing the match review, and then we'll be doing the tactical analysis. Please leave your comments in the comment section area below, like this video, share this video, and let's keep on pushing this content, as I'm really hoping that this month we'll have many videos, many videos. Now let's delve into it, because there's something that has happened. Chelsea last season missed the Champions League. Chelsea in the last 2 seasons have not played in the Champions League. There's a season where we played in the Champions League under Graham Potter, where we finished 12th. Then the season after with Maurizio Pochettino, where we didn't play in the Champions League, but Pochettino was actually sacked because he did not meet the Champions League requirement. And you know, the Champions League generates Chelsea close to 80 to 90 million pounds, which is very important, especially when it comes to meeting FFP regulations. But where do Chelsea find themselves now? Chelsea are finding themselves in a position where they want to meet these regulations, but they don't have the Champions League football. They do not have success in domestic competitions. But at the moment, Chelsea are seated 4th. Chelsea were actually going to make a huge loss in this financial window, a huge loss that could even prompt the Premier League to actually give Chelsea points deduction. Remember the investigation that was being done at Chelsea? Yes, that is what I'm talking about. Chelsea have managed to cheat football again. I don't know what Todd Boehly has done, but Todd Boehly has done something again. They have pulled the rabbit out of the bag. And Chelsea are now not making a loss, but rather Chelsea are making over 200 million in terms of profits. So what did they do? What is this thing that Clearlake and Todd Boehly did that has actually made Chelsea not to be in a loss-making situation, but rather in a profit-making situation? And that answer is going to be answered by what the journalist Ben Jacobs has to say. And let me just share my screen and read for you word by word what Chelsea have actually done. So just a minute, and here it is. So Chelsea declare a profit for 2023-24 before taxation of 128.4 million pounds, compared to a loss of 90 million.1 for the prior year. Remember, in the FFP rules, you're only allowed to make a loss of 130 million euros in a span of 3 seasons. But Chelsea here have made a loss of 90.1 million. When you convert pounds to euros, it's something like around 105 pounds. So Chelsea are within financial, their liquidity is actually well when you look at their financial books. This was drawn to increased profit on disposable of players, registration and repositioning of Chelsea Football Club Women Limited. Chelsea have achieved this by changing the ownership of Chelsea Women. Imagine, Chelsea have managed to sustain themselves financially by changing the ownership of Chelsea Women. Remarkable. Let's proceed. And what has happened is that the women's team was sold for Chelsea Holdings to Blueco. So the women's team was at Chelsea Holdings, the previous company that actually held it, and now it has been sold to Blueco. And remember, Blueco is the company that owns Chelsea Football Club men's. It owns the men's team. It also owns the Strasbourg team. So Chelsea have sold their women's team, but they have sold their women's team to their men's team. They have sold it to the company that owns their men's team. So what has happened is that Todd Boehly has managed to find another loophole, because now after they have sold their women's team, what happens is that what I kept on explaining to you during the transfer window. When you sell, the revenue is immediately recorded into the bank statements. But when you buy, you actually amortize the revenue, meaning that you break down the revenue. So Chelsea will undergo a loss at Blueco, meaning that they will undergo a loss on the amortized fee that they're supposed to pay Chelsea Holding, which again is just paying themselves. But at the end of the day, in the books, they have indicated that they have bought the Chelsea women team. They're seeing that you're understanding the kind of game that has been played here. Chelsea are buying and selling to themselves. So in reality, Chelsea are not making a loss, because yes, they have made a loss because they have wages, they have salaries, they have player sales, they have to meet these requirements. But Chelsea have not spent money. They have made profit and wiped out their loss by just doing, like, moving something from this company to this company, yet you own both of the companies. Smart business from Chelsea. Let's proceed. And Chelsea, this new approach will ensure that Chelsea FC Women has dedicated resources, management, and commercial leadership solely focused on the growth and success of the women's team. Overall revenue in the year fell to £468.5 million due to the men's team not competing in the Champions League. Remember, I've always told you that Chelsea's men's team is very important, especially when supporting the women's team, because Chelsea's men's team competition are actually paying a lot of money. If you have the Champions League, if you have a dedicated shirt sponsor, because the Champions League can also give you high prices when it comes to shirt sponsors. This season we have played with no shirt sponsor, and that has also affected Chelsea's overall revenue on the pitch. Matchday revenue increased to £80.1 million, as an average attendance of approximately 40,000 was maintained. Why was it? Because you also know that Chelsea have participated in the Conference League. Last season, Chelsea did not have the Conference League. So you can understand. And also, Chelsea this season have played better, especially in the initial first leg, the first 19 matches of the season. Chelsea played well. So a lot of fans have been coming to watch the game, complemented with the Conference League games and the Cup games. So, Chelsea have increased their profit. Also the way the team performs also increases the profit for Chelsea when it comes to match day revenue. But there's one thing I need to talk about when I want to talk about match day revenue has increased, because you see, Chelsea have a stadium that has a capacity of 40,000 seaters. And Todd Boehly, I'm also going to do a video on Chelsea stadiums. Chelsea need to start the process of building a stadium next season. It is something that Chelsea are going to do, because Chelsea need to increase their capacity from 40,000 to 100,000. Chelsea need to increase 60,000 seats. And there's a debate between the pitch owners who are owning Chelsea Stamford Bridge, and there's a debate whether Chelsea should relocate to Arlington Court, because even in Stamford Bridge, it still says that they cannot build stands up, because there's a church that they are not supposed to block it. Therefore, they'll have to dig down and go deeper in Stamford Bridge so that they're able to build that stadium. But the proposed situation is that the Chelsea stadium should be moved to Alscott, and then Chelsea will now try to negotiate where they will be able to be playing their normal games as they decide where they're going to relocate the stadium. Because the stadium is very important, because if you're just earning 40,000, if you have 40,000 and you're earning 80.1 million, teams like Manchester United have 74,000. They're aiming to build 120,000 seater. Arsenal has 65,000. Manchester City has 62,000. Tottenham Hotspur has 65,000. If Chelsea had just 60,000 capacity stadium, that means that Chelsea's profits move from 80 million to close to 120 million pounds. That is an increase of close to 40 million pounds. Are you seeing what is actually happening here? Now, The growth in commercial revenue to 225.3 million was driven by an increase in player loan income. Remember, and sale of non-match day activities, including stadium tours and merchandise sales. So, a lot of fans have been buying merchandise, especially. I told you Chelsea performed well initially, so a lot of fans were really optimistic about the club. And also the loaning of players. Chelsea have loaned a lot of players. They have loaned a lot of players, and they have also sold players, because you're also seeing players like Cesare. There's some lot of players who have been sold out, and the players who have been loaned have also been more, and that has increased Chelsea's profits, especially loaning them outside in Europe. And also remember the selling of players like Conor Gallagher. Decreased operating expenses, profits on disposal of players' registrations of 152.5 million, and a profit on disposal of subsidiary. Before I proceed to the profit of subsidiary, I want to talk about disposable of player registration. Remember, they are signing even players to and putting them on Strasbourg. You see, so they're signing players and they're putting them on Strasbourg. They're also signing young players. So they're signing young players who are even signing their first contract. So the signing fee is very low compared to when you sign a big player. You know, people think that just when you buy a player, people think that when you just buy a player, that immediately that price of that player is what you're actually dealing with. No, you're also dealing in with signing on fees. And when you sign young players, you're more likely to pay less when it comes to signing on fees. Now we move on to the last thing, and a profit on disposable subsidiaries. Subsidiaries, these are companies within a major company, of 198.7 million. And that is subsidiaries that Chelsea Holdings, which has been sold now to Blueco, led to the group recording an overall net profit of 129.6 million after tax, meaning that Chelsea, most clubs normally record losses, but Chelsea has not recorded a loss. Chelsea have so far recorded a profit. Chelsea have recorded a profit. That is what Ben Jacobs has said. That is what Ben Jacobs has said. And this is actually smart business for Chelsea. There's also some news here that I've gotten. Let me just share with you. There's also a journalist who has shared some very interesting news. His name is Kieran Maguire, with regards to Chelsea. Now, here is what you get from when it comes to player profits. What people don't give Chelsea enough credit for is their ability to monetize the academy and overall transfer sales. 153 million profits in 2023-2024 is the highest of any club in history, and adds to the lead they have over other clubs in the last decade. Look, Chelsea managed to have the highest player sales in 2023-2024. Now we are in 2024-2025. But in 2023-2024, Chelsea sold a lot of players. And that played a key role, especially players like Conor Gallagher. And you know, there's a certain crop of players that were sold, even players like Koulibaly, who are actually disposed after that period, as Piliqueta, and a lot of those players. And that created a huge profit for Chelsea when it came to player sales. And actually, when you look at this chart, you can clearly see Chelsea is still maintaining the lead when it comes to profits resulting to player sales. And what I have to say about this situation, as I've already explained to you, is that Chelsea now need to understand that they are going to run out of options where they can actually cheat FFP. And Chelsea need to come up with ways to ensure that the club is generating income, sustainable. The women's team is playing well. The women's team is in the Champions League semifinals. The women's team is leading in their league. So they are actually sustaining themselves. But what needs to happen is that they need to be seriousness in the men's team. There's no point of having a lot of money, spending 80 million, signing 6 kids from unknown leagues, and then you are not strengthening the first team, because if you get Champions League football, you start making money through that through the Champions League football. But you can't just be taking money and throwing it off on young players, taking it money and throwing it off on young players. That is what is making Chelsea unsustainable. Majority of this money that is being spent is signing players like Kane, signing players like Cesare, signing players like McGew. You're signing players that you don't need. Chelsea need to sign players they need, so that when they sign these players that they need, they are actually improving the overall quality of the squad. Will the ownership actually acknowledge this? Will they do something to actually change this situation and ensure that Chelsea are participating from a position of strength? The Club World Cup is coming. It has the probability of generating Chelsea close to 90 million pounds. Chelsea need to be serious about the Club World Cup. The Conference League, Chelsea need to try and win it, and even win that 30 million or 40 million, because these funds will be very important. The pointless signing of João Felix is one of the things that I always talk about. So the running of the club needs to improve. It's not every day that Chelsea will be able to play these games and maneuver FFP, because now there's a loophole that has been opened. Other clubs are going to try and exploit these loopholes. And the minute the Premier League notices that Chelsea are exploiting these loopholes, they are going to try and close it, because also the other teams do not want Chelsea to continue spending the money the way they are spending it. The overall performance of the team needs to improve. And we really need to talk about the upcoming fixtures. And I talked about the upcoming fixture. The next game is Chelsea versus Spurs. Chelsea are fourth. The next 5 games are winnable games. They are tough games, don't get me wrong. Tough games, but Chelsea need to win those next 5 games if they need to find themselves in a stable position, because this is the report from the 2023-2024 season till now, till the way they managed to sell the women's sport. Now, the women's sport is under Blueco. Blueco is the company that is a joint venture between Clear Lake Capital and Todd Boehly. So it's currently under Blueco. The lawyers are doing well, the financial management is doing well, but at the end of the day, what sustains a club is the on-the-field performances. Get the Champions League football, win the Conference League, proceed to the Club World Cup. If you reach to the quarterfinals or the semifinals, it's good. If you win it, you get 120 million pounds. Pop, immediately into the account. So Chelsea will be one of the most profitable clubs this season. But the question is, can Chelsea do it? You just realize that they lost to the under-21s. People are hoping that when Jackson comes, probably Jackson comes through his pre-injury form. Even pre-injury, he was not scoring a lot of goals. So hopefully Jackson can come in, Noni Madueke can come in, Neto can move down the left, Palmer can get his foot back, because we need everything that we need everything. Fofana is back. Colwell is there. We need everything that we had in the first 19 games, in the last 9 games that we have. We need to push for that top 4. We need to get that top 4. We need to seal this top 4 and move on to the next thing. What do you think? Do you agree with me with my analysis on Chelsea's financial situation? If you do agree, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll be talking more about Chelsea in our channel. See you in the next video, and have a great time.